Hey everybody, thanks so much for tuning in to check out this video. Before we get into the removal of the day and the extraction of the larva behind me out of this particular nest, I just wanted to go over a little bit about the post that I made today in the community tab on YouTube in regards to the crowdfunding campaign that I've set up through GoFundMe in regards to building my channel. If you guys haven't noticed, my channel has just been taking off exponentially over the last couple weeks primarily, and I'm trying to keep up with that level of growth with quality of my videos. So far I just have one camera, one directional mic, and it's really difficult to get multi-angle shots with just one camera, especially in the midst of a removal. I'm missing cool shots of swarms and things. So I want to add an extra camera, and I want to add a macro lens to that particular camera that I get. And that way I can get really good intimate close-up shots of larvae, nests, adults, things like that. I also want to upgrade my microphone, or even just the fact that I want to get a lapel mic so that way I can have better quality for voiceovers while I'm actually doing removals, because sometimes there is good information that I'm talking about in the video that I have to then overdub later on because you can't hear me very well. And then one main thing is lighting. Like right now I have this set up in my music room with like 3 desk lamps and a drop light, and even that, it's either too bright or it's not bright enough. And yeah, so I feel like that my videos have kind of suffered in those departments anyway. So I'm setting up a GoFundMe, or I have set up a GoFundMe crowdfunding campaign. And how it's going to work is I have a goal of $5,000. I think that would be adequate for the stuff that I need to get from my videos. But how I have it set up is the top donator by the end of August will get a t-shirt being either the Wasp you talking about or Do I Make You Hornet. One of my nests, I have several bald-faced hornets. I have Dolicha vespula arenaria nests, the coveted spout nest, and then I also have a full bald-faced hornet nest from one of my earlier videos in 2018. And so I want to kind of donate that to the highest donation. And also, so I have a good bit of paper left over here from these nests, and what I'd like to do is cut a nice paper-sized sliver, frame it, but also sign Hornet King and Pigeon Ginger and Angel to that, and then have that all be an all-inclusive kind of gift for whoever is the highest donation. And anyone who donates will get a mention at the end of my videos in the rolling credits, just a small thank you for donating to my channel. But what happens when I hit the 5,000? Well, see, that's where the thumbnail came into place. If I hit my goal of $5,000 in donations, I am going to cook and eat some larvae. So, as much as that kind of grosses me out to say and to think about, I think that is a fair compensation for you guys coming and supporting my channel and donating money to help grow this channel into something that you guys can also enjoy in the free content that I provide on YouTube. So if you guys can and you want to donate, I'd really appreciate it. If you guys can't, is financially not capable of doing that, I completely understand, and I appreciate you guys still coming to my channel and watching and writing comments and giving me suggestions and things. So let's get to it, and then I'll catch you guys at the end. All right, so this is the removal of the bald-faced hornet nest, aka aerial nest building yellow jacket, aka Dolicha vespula maculata. So this customer had it out in their backyard. They had a dog and a bunch of kids, and obviously there was fear that now this thing was getting huge, that there was going to be some potential for stings and attack and things. So they asked me to remove it. Couldn't really relocate it, unfortunately, because the homeowner didn't want the branch for this tree to be snipped back, and there was really no way for me to tear it off the branch without pretty much ruining the entire comb, which once I actually pulled the envelope off, you can kind of see why, because the comb was actually built around the branch instead of on it. Oh my God, there was so much envelope on this nest. There's probably like 10 layers, and it went down pretty far from the actual main structure of the comb.
It's kind of neat here because you can see that that bottom piece I just tore off was actually connected to the bottom part of the top comb instead of just around the top of the comb. There are a lot of adults in this nest, probably maybe 500 or so. And a lot of vacuuming, so I cut a lot of that out because, I mean, you guys see me vacuum nests before, so I don't need to keep including that, I don't think, unless I read in the comments that people want to see it. So you kind of see that was the comb was like a horseshoe shape around that branch, which is pretty wild. So I was able to get some time lapse. This is actually a new adult. You can kind of see her back is kind of like hazy or soapy looking, and that's because she had just recently hatched out of her cell. Wings are still soft. Drying out the wings, flapping them a bit. They don't care about me being around at all. Just completely no regard for me whatsoever. If you notice when I scratch the comb, you see the larvae sort of spaz out and they start like scraping the sides of the cells. So how that works is that will actually send the adults into a frenzy. So what happens is the larva will scrape the cells with their mandibles, and the adults come and running because that means they either need to regurgitate fluid, which that's what this adult's doing in the center. The larva is regurgitating fluid and the adult's eating it. And she'll go around to each one of the larvae and get a little bit of sustenance from them. You can see the butt of the one there next to my hand. That's what that one's doing. It's inside the cell getting some juice from the larva. And the one here to the right that I was pointing at earlier is going around to the bigger larva and getting some sustenance. So you kind of get a twofer. You get to see some adults crawling around on the nest, and you also get to see the larva getting extracted. So this nest was actually in on my desk for about, I'd say about 13, 14 hours. And when I came back in after the removal, and it was about 12 hours later, there were several adults that had hatched from their cells. And that's what you're seeing here. And they didn't mind me at all. I was kind of pushing them around with my fingers, and they really had no concern about me whatsoever. So I get asked in the comments a bit about what actually makes for an adult worker cell, or what makes the difference between an adult worker, female, a queen, and a male. And it all comes down to cell size. So these cells that you're seeing here on the side are worker cells. They're smaller cells. However, the ones on the top center and the very, very top second comb are queen and male comb or cells. And so when they make smaller cells, the larvae, the eggs that are laid in there that are female, start to grow, and they can only grow to a certain point because of the stricture of that cell size. So and there's not as many adults to feed them, so they don't get as much sustenance, and they don't really grow as much inside those smaller cells. So those become regular workers, either foragers, defenders, whatever. Then when the queen lays female eggs into larger cells and there's more adults to come back and feed them, as those larvae get bigger, they expect more food, so they start scraping the side of the cell more to get the adults to feed them more. And just that cycle of constantly being fed in a larger cell, they grow up and they become queens. They're not special eggs, they're not anything. They're just simply fed better and able to grow more. And that is solely how they become queens. Now, how males become males, there's a little bit of conflict as to on the literature and the study and research. Some places say that the queen can also lay males, which I don't dispute that. However, I do know for a fact that workers will lay males if they're not policed by the queen, meaning the queen will kind of keep the adult females from laying eggs. She'll kind of push them away from doing that or attack them or whatever, and also her pheromones will keep them in check from laying eggs. But if a female does lay an egg, she is unfertilized, therefore that egg is going to be a male egg that develops into a male wasp. So when you see these queen cells, and how I know the difference between what larva is going to be a male or female or whatever, primarily I can't tell the difference between a larva that is going to be a male and a larva is going to be a queen. However, I can tell that by the size of the cell that they're in and how soon they lay their cap, whether or not it's going to be a queen male or a female worker. So if a larva inside of a queen cell, which is a larger cell, lays her silk cap further down inside the cell, which means she's a smaller larva, that's going to be a worker even though it's in a queen cell. If a cap, like up top there, where in the center, where that one's crawling around, those caps that are up there, those are definitely going to be queens or males. Just because of the size of the cell that's there and how tall those extra pieces are because they're having to build because they're larger larvae. I wish a new queen or male had hatched out of there so I could have kind of shown you guys that. But at least you get a kind of an explanation of it. At some point I am going to be doing at the end of the season when more males and females and queens come out of their comb and get some larger bald-faced hornets nests that I get to relocate or whatever, I can kind of show you guys that a little bit better. It's quite a good bit of larvae in this nest, and my girls were itching to get some. Listen to the noise. A slimy noise. Look at the moisture on the desk. So, I'm sure that people are going to ask, why am I not concerned about the adults hatching out of these cells, and why are they not attacking me? Couple things. New adults do not attack. They do not, I mean, they can kind of sense that vibration and can kind of sometimes be concerned. As you tell when I'm spinning the nest, they kind of seem like they get a little bit of alerted. However, it takes them at least 2 days to start flying for their wings to dry out, and then for them to, like you kind of see when they first come out, they almost look soapy, they almost have like a white haze to them. So that stuff kind of like brushes off. It's almost like the kind of like human babies when they come out after birth. They kind of have that white film on them. Same type of thing. They kind of have to like wipe it off. They clean themselves, as you see here. Just kind of getting themselves groomed and ready to start flying and foraging and whatnot. So these adults, the first day that they hatched, they were totally chill about me. Honestly didn't even really pay any attention to me. Now, as far as the next day was concerned, they were all clustered together. They were running around trying to get larvae to feed them, and they were very sensitive to me touching the table and whatnot. They weren't flying at me, but they were definitely very aware of me being around. So much different doing these tweezings during the nighttime when there's no cars and it's inside, where you can really hear the noises of the nest. You can hear the larvae moving around, and you can hear the tweezers like scraping the side of the paper. And you hear me breathing. Which I find greatly annoying when I'm watching when I've been watching this over and over again, that you can hear me breathing over top of the nest. So you hear a little bit of chewing, which is an adult coming out of a cell somewhere, or trying to. I was going to be a queen or a male. And that's the other thing too. When these adults started hatching, you see a dead one there in the bottom right corner, or dying one. It's like black. Oh, here we go. Barf. It's not healthy, Bob. So you can tell when these adults come out, they start going right to the larva to eat. So when they hatch, they're ready to eat. After all that metamorphosis, they're ready to get some sustenance. Look, there's 3 in the top right there. So I removed all these larvae. They no longer have a food source. So the ones that came out and were kind of on the comb for a while and didn't get any sustenance, they would pretty much die right away. They need to get that sustenance pretty much immediately. You'll see them when they hatch. There's one later on here. When you see it hatch, it literally opens up its mouth and like drags what I call its tongue, drags its tongue across the top of the comb, and it's looking for a little bit of fluid from a larva. So I'd almost be curious as if they have the best eyesight when they first come out from hatching. This one had just hatched. It's drying out its wings. See, she's dragging her mouth parts across the top of the comb. She's looking for larvae. Looking for larvae that's regurgitating fluid, that is. She goes down the cell there. She didn't find anything. Now it's time to feed the girls.
Hi, Angel. Hi, Ginger. Hi, Ginger. Oh, you jumped it out of my... Hang on, back up. That's what I said. Come on, back up.
She was ready for that larva, that's for sure. Go ahead, ask. Where's Pigeon? Pigeon was down laying her eggs, so I decided to just get her some more from the removal that I had later on that day, and I'll give her a little extra since the girls had some this morning.
Pigeon must be laying her egg. I'm going to do her removal now, so I'll come back and bring her. I'll give her some extra ones.
See, I told you.
Pigeon. Chip, chip, chip. Chip, chip, chip.
Don't mind the mess.
Hi, Pigeon. You getting an egg laid? I'll show everybody where you lay your eggs. Hi, Pigeon. Hi, Pigeon. Get any eggs under here that I can steal? I just want one. Oh, there's one. Just one. Oh, it's an egg of Ginger's. I'll feed you in a minute. I'll come back and give you a special brew. Anybody laying in here? Well, somebody's been laying in there. Not laying eggs, but they're laying. Egg smells good.
Here they come, up by the grapevines.
Oh, Ginger. Come on, Angel. Come on, Angel. What the heck do you have? Are you eating my grapes? Are you eating my grapes? Are you serious right now? No wonder you guys didn't get all excited about the larva. You can eat my grapes.
little known fact about chickens is that they actually will eat their own eggs. And what happens is they get deficient in calcium, and they need egg shells to produce that calcium to then make their eggs again. So she's ready for it. All right, you ready?
For all you people out there who don't know much about chickens. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Here, I'm going to cut you up for you.
So they're actually they'll eat the shells along with the actual egg yolks and whites themselves.
It's kind of like eating snot, I think. If you've never seen a chicken drink before, it's pretty cool. They slurp it up and then they like tilt their head back to like have it drip down their gullet.
Yeah, you guys are gonna start calling me the Chicken King.
Hi, Angel. Hi, Angel.
Alright guys, thanks so much for checking out this video of the removal and the extraction of the larva out of the nest behind me. If you guys are so able and would be able to donate a little bit of money for my campaign, I'd really appreciate it. The link is in the description, and like I said, anybody who donates will get their name mentioned at the end of the credit roll of some of my videos. The highest bidder by the end of August will then get the three things I mentioned, the either Do I Make You Hornet t-shirt, Waspy Talking About t-shirt. Also, they would be getting a large bald-faced hornet nest, if they so wish, and also a cut of paper envelope from one of the nests with Hornet King signed on it, along with Ginger, Pigeon, and Angel. So, again, if you guys enjoyed this video, please drop in the comments, let me know what you think. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so to my ever so growing channel. You guys have been doing it anyway, and I really appreciate you guys subscribing. And then if you have been subscribing and you've been coming back and checking out my videos, thanks so much for supporting my channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.